The movie opens with quotes about metahumans 3 centuries ago, leading up to Superman. But just 3 minutes ago, Superman lost a battle for the first time. He crash lands in the snow, badly injured. With no sun to heal, he calls on his best friend. A whistle echoes, and heavy footsteps answers. Krypto rushes to him, unknowingly hurting him more as he plays. Clark hands him the cape and asks to be taken home. Krypto drags him to the Fortress of Solitude. The robots swarm in and place him under the sun chamber, while the message of Kal-El's parents plays in the background. Why they sent him to Earth, and what good he was meant to do. The fortress shifts, rays of sunlight pierce through, and Clark screams as his body heals. He rises again, but the robots warn he's only at 83%, and he already lost while at full power. Superman launches back toward the city. The robot attacking, it tells the people their hero abandoned them before resuming its destruction. Lex directs from afar as the battle resumes. Every move Superman makes is predicted. Every punch lands, and he's beaten into the ground. The truth is revealed. They've studied Superman for years, memorizing thousands of his fighting patterns. And when the enemy returns to base, he unmasks. It's Ultraman. No wonder Superman couldn't win. Meanwhile, the engineer confirms the fortress has been found. She races there, but it sinks before she arrives. Lex orders her back. In Smallville, the locals decide to stand by Superman, saying after all he's done for them, it's time to help him. At LexCorp, they celebrate. The next day, Clark rushes into the Daily Planet. He speaks briefly with his mother about his latest article, then sits with Lois and Jimmy. They recap the attack, the millions in damages, and question Boravia's involvement. Clark mentions the fake accent, raising Lois's suspicions about his interviews with Superman. He brushes it off as just journalism. The president of Boravia insists they've always been on good terms with the US, until Superman appeared. The scene shifts to Lex Luthor, proudly presenting Ultraman as the strongest being on Earth. He unveils the engineer, a woman fused with nanites, able to create any weapon she imagines. Alongside her stands an armored force. Together, they are Planet Watch, Lex's unstoppable answer to global threats. But behind the pitch is his true agenda: convince the Defense Council that Superman is a rogue weapon, dangerous and unchecked. Crawley isn't fooled. She points out that if war breaks out between Boravia and the US, Lex would be the one selling weapons and profiting. The tension rises when Luthor drops a bombshell. Superman has a hidden base in Antarctica, a direct violation of international law. The Council admits they're uneasy with Superman, but without proof of malicious intent, they can't bring him in. We cut to Lois Lane at home. What seems like an intruder turns out to be Clark, preparing a surprise dinner. They laugh and kiss, but Lois warns him. If he keeps interviewing Superman, people will start asking questions. Their playful moment shifts into an interview, and Lois presses him hard. Reports say even the Secretary of Defense is investigating his actions. Superman defends himself. He stopped a war and prevented Boravia from invading. Lois fires back. He interfered in another country's politics, entered illegally, and threatened its leader. To her, that's tyranny under another name. Superman insists he was only acting for himself, not the US. But Lois doesn't let up. Their debate gets heated until he snaps. People are going to die. A heavy silence follows. Lois changes the subject, pointing out his growing backlash online. Superman shrugs it off, saying he doesn't read that stuff. Lois presses harder, hinting Superman might be turning tyrannical. She reminds him people see him as an alien, not a savior. Clark insists his parents' last message was clear. He was sent to serve humanity. But public opinion says otherwise. The hashtag supershit sets him off. Frustrated, he ends the conversation. Lois calls him out, saying this is what he always does, shutting down whenever challenged. She takes the plates, muttering she knew it wouldn't work. Clark tries to answer, but finally walks out. Meanwhile, a massive aircraft lands in Antarctica. Lex, Ultraman, and the engineers step out. She wonders how they'll breach the fortress, but to her shock, it rises willingly, doors opening as if welcoming them. The robots mistake Ultraman for Superman, but the illusion doesn't last. Ultraman tears them apart, while the engineer slices through the rest. Krypto lunges at her, but nanites bring him down. Inside, Lex hunts for anything to prove Superman's threat. The engineer hacks the system, pulling every shred of data, even locked files. She warns Superman could return any moment, but Lex smiles. The distraction is already in motion. A vicious creature is released elsewhere, keeping their enemy occupied while they gut his home. In the city, Superman arrives just in time to face the unleashed monster. It's massive, tearing through streets. He blocks its blows, shields civilians, and draws it away. Before he's overwhelmed, 3 heroes arrive: Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. Together, the Justice Gang launch their assault. Hawkgirl strikes its eye, Mr. Terrific plants explosives, and the beast collapses. Superman eases the body down so no one gets crushed. But before relief sets in, every screen lights up. Lex Luthor broadcasts a twisted version of Kal-El's parents' message. The words now instruct Superman to rule Earth, crush dissent, and spread his bloodline through force. The city panics. Superman storms off in frustration. Green Lantern corners him, demanding answers. If this is true, Superman is the very threat he was meant to stop. Clark admits the first half of the message is real, but the rest was forged. Still, doubt lingers. Meanwhile, the Boravian president twists the attack, claiming Superman staged everything and plans to claim Boravian women. Alone, he opens a secret portal and celebrates with Lex. The broadcast wasn't forged. According to Lex, these were the final surviving fragments of Jor-El's message. Superman races back to the fortress, demanding to know how Luthor breached a sanctuary locked to his DNA. Silence greets him when he calls for Krypto. Rage takes over. He blasts through Lex Corp, smashing into Luthor's office. "Where's the dog?" he demands. Lex denies it, whispering so only Superman can hear. While on camera, he plays victim, painting Clark as the villain. Even Peacemaker weighs in, siding with the media's version that Superman is no savior at all. At home, Superman breaks down. Lois offers cocoa as he admits he's never heard the rule humanity, part of his parents' message. He was never trying to dominate anyone. He apologizes for their fight. Lois says they see the world differently. She questions everything. He wants to see the good. Resolved to find Krypto, Clark prepares to surrender. The next day, Ultraman takes him down, dragging him into Luthor's pocket dimension, a place outside reality itself. There, a metahuman under Lex's control creates kryptonite, forcing Superman to his knees. Meanwhile, Lois digs into Luthor's dealings with Boravia, uncovering shady numbers. Jimmy thinks he's found a lead, but instead stumbles into Lex's lover, Eve, who hides her loyalty behind flirting with him. Inside the dimension, Superman discovers Krypto and other prisoners, but escape is impossible. The metahuman refuses to help. Lex has his son as leverage. Superman's torment deepens when Luthor executes a man in front of him, promising to target more loved ones of Clark Kent. Out in the real world, Lois turns to the Justice Gang. They refuse to help, bound by U.S. jurisdiction. Furious, she storms off, only for Mr. Terrific to catch up and offer secret aid. He brings her to his garage, fires up his ship, and takes her to the island where Superman vanished. But just then, Vice Recap noticed that 98.8% of his viewers watching aren't subscribed. If you're enjoying the recap so far, leave a like and subscribe. Now back to the video. Armed guards block them, but Mr. Terrific tears through the squad with his drones and skill. Inside, he confirms the unthinkable. Lex really built a pocket universe, and every use of the portal risks tearing reality apart. When Lois thanks him, he smirks. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it to piss off Green Lantern." Inside the pocket dimension, the metahuman breaks down after Lex kills an innocent man. Desperate, he begs Superman to save his son and deforms the kryptonite keeping Clark down. But without a yellow sun, Superman is still powerless. That's when the metahuman does the unthinkable, forging hydrogen and helium into a miniature star. The sudden burst of light floods Superman with energy, just enough for him to fight back. He rescues the boy, frees Krypto, and battles his way through guards as the portal collapses around them. Even a black hole nearly swallows him whole. But with one last desperate surge, Superman pulls himself and the prisoners out in time. Lois rushes him back to Smallville where he collapses, poisoned by kryptonite. Mr. Terrific stays behind to study the unstable portal, while Jimmy delivers Eve's secret photos, hard proof that Luthor orchestrated everything. Furious, Lex and Ultraman drag her away, but the evidence is already in Lois' hands. As Superman recovers, his father reminds him he is not defined by alien orders, but by his choices. Meanwhile, Boravia launches its invasion, villages surrounded by soldiers chanting Superman's name as their last hope. But the true crisis comes from Lex himself, tearing the fabric of reality open. Skyscrapers topple, entire blocks collapse, and Terrific warns only Superman can stop it. Clark barely regains his footing before charging into the chaos. He saves a falling building, then collides head-on with Ultraman and the engineer. Their combined assault nearly kills him. Nanite's flooding his body, blinding him, suffocating him. With seconds left, he makes the only move possible, flying straight into space, dragging his enemies with him. They tear at him, trying to hold him back, but he dives back down at impossible speed. The impact shatters the earth beneath them, and Superman expels every nanite choking his lungs. Then the truth drops. Ultraman isn't just another soldier. He's Superman's clone, born from a strand of his hair, a twisted reflection of everything Lex hates. The two Kryptonians clash in brutal fashion, but the sunlight breaking through gives Clark the edge. Recharged, he slams Ultraman with punches and into a building. Superman warns Lex's Boravian plans won't work, because he's not alone. Green Lantern swoops in to save a boy from gunfire, blasting tanks apart, while Hawkgirl hunts down the president and ends him without mercy. Cornered, Lex finally admits the truth. He hates Superman because he exposes humanity's weakness. Driven by envy, he unleashed Ultraman to crush him. As Ultraman pounds Clark into the ground, Lex gloats, until Superman smiles. A sharp whistle cuts through the chaos. Krypto charges in, tearing apart Lex's drones, while Superman turns the tide against Ultraman. The battlefield erupts, raptors descend, only for Clark to rip through them with brutal force and searing heat vision. But Ultraman strikes again, dragging him toward the black hole. In the final struggle, Superman hurls Ultraman away and lets the Void claim him instead. Terrific races to stabilize the collapsing rift, while Superman confronts Lex face-to-face. Luthor spits venom, calling him an alien invader. Clark fires back. His greatest strength has always been his humanity. Luthor vows to kill him one day, but Krypto silences him with a vicious tackle. Terrific seals the rift. The world learns the truth, and Lex Luthor is finally arrested. With Earth safe at last, Superman reunites with Lois. In private, she silences his doubts with a kiss, finally confessing her love. Later, at the restored Fortress of Solitude, Clark undergoes treatment under forced care. Kara Danvers arrives to reclaim Krypto, leaving Superman to heal in solitude, surrounded by memories of his childhood. The sun envelopes him, and the movie comes to an end. If you guys enjoyed this peek recap, leave a like and comment what's your favorite moment.